celebrate the life of Betty, otherwise known as Granny. I know she would have loved to see each of your faces here today because she loved each and every single one. And because most of you were like family to her, she didn't have a big family, so the Schliemann family was her family. And I like to start out by saying that I know she was ready to go, and I definitely struggled with it because, you know, she was still getting around on her walker, and we were still going to brunch, and honestly, I could never imagine her leaving this earth. I realized she was 91, but, you know, Aunt Esther lived to 106, so I thought Granny was going to live to 106 too. But over the last year, she had a much harder time getting around and in and out of vehicles, and for the first time in my life, I heard her starting to say things like, "I'm starting to feel old. Or she would make comments when she was getting up and down. And one thing about Granny is she definitely never complained. And she never wanted to be a burden to anybody. I mean, my entire life, I never heard her complain about anything. So she was very consistent that way. And I could sense she was just not having fun with life anymore. And life was starting to become uneasy. And sometime around December of last year, I had this just very strong feeling. It was actually December 31st, but somewhere towards the end of December, I had this strong feeling. I said, I gotta take Granny out to the beach for a fish dinner. She loved the beach. She loved fried fish and hush puppies. So that's what I did. I took her to the beach for a nice fish dinner, and I'll need you to remember that phrase for something I'm going to tell you here in a minute. And so I picked her up December 31st and took her to Salt Cracker on Clearwater Beach. And we had a nice fish meal with hush puppies and fried fish, and she ate the whole thing. And then I drove her back home, and on the way there, we were in the car, and we were driving over the Courtney Campbell. And she says, have you ever just had a feeling of intense happiness inside? And I said, probably not like you just did, but that's nice, Granny. You must have enjoyed the beach, and she loved the water and the beach, and just going out in general. And then I drove her back home, and I said, oh, Granny, that's nice. I said, let's take a trip down memory lane. What do you say before I take you home? Because she was staying in Carrollwood, but she lived not too far from there before that. So I drove her past the old neighborhood. I drove her past Aunt Claudette's house. I drove her past Susan's house. And I drove her past the old house that Granny and Granddaddy built together. And we said, oh, I remember this, and you remember that, and so-and-so lived there. And we just, sort of enjoyed a little time together, reminiscing. And it was very sweet. So I took her back home, and I gave her a big hug and a kiss. And fast forward to March, and she, had a small mini stroke, which turned into a major stroke some days after that. And she had, lost movement on the left side of her body. And she had trouble opening her eyes and talking and eating and stuff. And some days after her being in rehab and then in the hospital, I asked them if they could bring her to Dunedin. I said, Granny, we're taking you to the beach. You're gonna retire on the beach. Because our house is like a mile from the water, but we weren't exactly on the beach, but it was close enough. But it was a facility literally 3 minutes from me. Like I could see her on the way home from work and see her on the way to work and make sure she wasn't alone, or just to keep her spirits up. I was just talking to her and say, hey, you remember this? And she would laugh. And so she literally moved right down the street, and I would see her twice a day. And one day I was talking to her saying, Granny, I asked her, and when I would go in there, she just had a stroke, and she was doing the best she could. She was having trouble eating, and I would come in and I said, Granny, how you doing? And she says, I'm wonderful, I'm doing wonderful, how are you? And she just was the same Betty Granny that you've probably known her whole life. And she was just high in spirits, not going to complain, and she was just doing wonderful. And I said, do you remember that time that I was like, I don't know, 10 years old, and I touched your stove, and I burnt my finger, and all night you kept my finger in water because it was burned, and if I took my finger out of the water, it would start to hurt. And I said, you kept my finger in the water all night. And she goes, yeah, I kept the cup up all night. And I said, isn't that amazing? Amazing that you did that? She goes, no. That's what you call love. She says, that's what you call love. And I literally lost it and started to cry at that point. And she was just amazing the whole time. I just thought, I would ask her, I'm sorry, I already went over. Just all the way to the end, you know, just good spirits. And I told her, I said, Granny, you never complain. I said, it's okay if you want to tell me the truth right now. She said, it doesn't do any good to complain. That's what she would say. It doesn't do any good to complain. I said, boy, if we could all incorporate even half of her attitude into our lives, we would all be in a better place, I'm sure. So as the days went on, I made sure to get videos and pictures of her while she was still here. And because she wasn't eating much and starting to decline, once the day started to come, you know, and they wanted to make her comfortable, I made sure to hold her hand and say, you know, it's okay if you're ready. And I kept my old phone charged up and next to her ear to play beach music, just so she was having something peaceful. And after she, you know, went on to be with the Lord, I started to go through some of her stuff. And as you can recall, I just said that I had this strong feeling that I wanted to take her to the beach for a nice fried fish dinner. So I'm going through her stuff. It's just boxes of stuff because I had moved all her stuff into my garage because I didn't know she was going to need to go into a nursing facility that needed to be refurnished. So I kept all her stuff there. So I was going through it and I found this little tiny notebook. And it only has 3 things written in it. But, excuse me. There's only 3 things, and she kind of was starting to write notes to herself that was to somebody, but she was also answering for that person. But on the second page, it said this: I would like to eat supper out tonight. Okay, I would like that too. I would like a good fish dinner. And when I found that, I was absolutely convinced that she had written that before I took her out. I just had this strong feeling come over me. She wants to go out for a nice fish dinner by the beach. So that whole day I was feeling like, you know, I just wanted to feel her presence. I just wanted to know she was okay. And I had been praying to God. I was just like, you know, I just want to feel, you know, Granny around. And then I found that, and that just, you know, made me feel good that she had written it down. And that she got to go out for a nice fish dinner and enjoy herself by the beach. Let's see here. I'm really going to miss her. I'm going to miss, you know, going to brunch together and going to garage sales. She loved garage sales. It was like her thing. Anything you could get for a nickel or a dime, or she would talk you down from $1 to maybe 50 cents.
One of those.
Her talking about past family stories. She always told good stories. Her kind and giving nature, her innocent spirit, her smile, her laugh. She has the best laugh. And lastly, all of her wonderful sayings. Granny had a lot of sayings. She had quite a few, but here's just a few of some of her famous sayings. She would say, there's good and bad to everything. And she would say things like, well, and life goes on. Right after she, even after something big would happen, somebody else passing, she'd say, well, and life goes on. And I couldn't help myself, it was terrible, and I was there with her, and then, they let you know that she's in heaven, and I said, well, life goes on. And she would say things like, when we were in traffic, my mother always said, this teaches you patience. I said, your mother was born a long time ago, and there was a lot less traffic when she was driving around than there is today, Granny. And I said, and you're retired and you're not driving through rush hour traffic. I said, another thing she would say is, everything's a trade-off. This is going to be good, but there's still going to be, some things you're going to have to trade off. Or whatever floats your boat, she would say. And things like, it always comes out in the wash. It does always come out in the wash. This is very true. She'd say things like, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Oh, I'm going to start a business. Well, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Just try it, If you don't try, you're definitely not going to succeed because you haven't tried. One of my favorites is she'd say, life is what you make it. But she'd always say, my mother always said, because this actually came from her mom saying these things. And she would say, life is what you make it. And Granny, she did a really good job of making her life better than it probably was at the time. Growing up, she didn't really have her parents around. Her dad was gone at a very young age, so she never saw him. Her mom wasn't around too much. She was mostly raised by her skinny granny, a little bit from a fat granny. She had a skinny granny and a fat granny, in case you did not know that. That's what she called them. I never knew their names for a while. It was just skinny granny, fat granny. And so I really saw that she lived those sayings. Life is what you make it. She just made it so good. And another thing she would say is, oh, I got a granny spot. When she's pulling up into a parking lot, the whole parking lot could be full, and here comes this car pulling out of the first parking spot, and Granny goes right in there. And she said, I got a granny spot. And most of all, I will miss her saying, I love you. I always have, and I always will. I'm going to miss her handwritten letters sent in the mail to me. She was the only one sending me handwritten letters still. People just don't do that anymore. She even had little stickers she would put on there, and she just had her little, stationery and all of that. So that was nice, something a grandmother would do. I would never forget how Granny wraps gifts. Birthday gifts, Christmas gifts. I don't know if any of you have ever gotten a gift from her. It's usually wrapped in newspaper and tape, and more tape. To the point where you're wondering, is this a bomb? Am I going to be able to open this?
An Eggo waffle box.
An Eggo waffle box that was also used with tape, lots of tape.
It was never what the box was.
Lots of tape. No, you never knew what the present was because it was in a box that was
In a box. It was in a box.
It was in a
box.
box that was also in a box.
Maybe you a note to find another box.
Well, my husband reminded me in the car, one of his favorite memories of her. Last year during the holidays, we took her up to my mom's house, and at this point, so she had used a walker, but she was still able to get up and down and get around a little bit, but it was getting harder for her legs to stand up and down. But my mom's guest room bed has a mattress, an extra mattress, so the bed is very tall. And I just remember, I said, okay, well, I want to put her in the bed. I want her to be comfortable. I don't want her to sleep on the couch. We're going to put her in the bed. I'm like, okay, well, I guess you can't she couldn't get in the bed herself. So I'm going to help her get in the bed. So I said, okay, Granny, just turn around, lay back on the bed, and I'll pull your feet around, and we'll make this happen. Well, so she's laying on the bed, and if you just imagine an infant going wailing about, and she says, I'm falling, and I just crack up
More
laughing.
like a turtle. It was like a turtle.
Well, like a turtle on a shell, or a very small child that's actually larger but flailing about, and I am cracking up like I could not control the laughter. And meanwhile, she's like, help me. And she starts laughing and I start laughing harder. And then I feel bad that I'm laughing because she's having trouble. And it was really funny. Like, one of those moments where, because we had good belly laughs with Granny. Like it was like one of those contagious laughs where you're laughing and your stomach hurts and tears are coming out. And I am glad that she was very, happy. I'm so happy that we got to have her at our wedding. We got married in 2019, and we just got everybody into the wedding before everybody started passing it. There's probably like 5 people that were there that are no longer here with us. And but she would see my husband and she would say, "Dennis, I like Dennis. I really, really, really like Dennis. He's good." And I said, "I'm so glad you approve." And let's see here. Here's another cute story. I'm going through her stuff. This is something Granny would do because she kept things sometimes and you're like, why did she keep that? I'm going through this box of stuff and she would, she would keep things she'd put it in an envelope and write a note on it. She'd put everything in an envelope, fold it up, write a note on it so you knew what it was. I'm going through this stuff and I said, why is there a peephole in this box? She got the peephole from her old door, I suppose. We checked it out, it still works if anybody's in the market for new people. But I said, this is something Granny would do. She would hide a peephole, put a peephole in here just so we would laugh.
Just to make you wonder.
Just to make you wonder. And I just thought this was absolutely adorable. I found this, it says, it was in an envelope, of course, like everything is in an envelope. And I open it up, and it's got this note on it, and it says, I went without lunch at school for 2 weeks so I could buy Arthur a lighter for Christmas. And it's still in this little box that's in a little bag. And it's this old lighter. And she kept it. And inside the box, she wrote it again. She says, I was dating Arthur and went without lunch at school so I could buy this. I just thought that was absolutely the most adorable thing I had ever heard. And it's Ronson lighter. Still, I don't think it works, but I just thought that was absolutely adorable. Huh?
You gotta have light.
And Flint.
Well, yeah.
Flint and lighter fluid.
I got a little pill box at home that says Colorado, got a $2 bill in it.
Yeah, I have lots of boxes and I have lots of envelopes that's got pennies and nickels, quarters, nothing. They're just regular change, nothing old or worth talking about or going on that show. What's that show? Pawn Stars about? And I'm sure all of you have probably quite a few memories and funny stories to share. I like at this time to have everybody come up and just, share something about Betty that you remember or a funny story. Or something nice that you'd like to say. And then when you're done, I'm just going to come up and say one more thing. So who's first?
Go ahead, Will. Not it.
Okay, that's fine.
She had bought her that stand-up walker. And Clark couldn't manage to drive himself, so I would help her. But the funniest thing is when I'd get Betty by the door, she'd grab the door, get close to the seat, Claudette would move the walker, and she'd try to lift her leg up. She couldn't hardly bend her leg. And I'd have to bend it for her, and I'd say, Betty, just get in there and just, I'll help you, you scoot you over. And then I'd say to her, Betty, you need to go to exercise class. Because if you don't, you're gonna get so stiff, you're not gonna be able to bend, and we're gonna have to take you another way. And she said to me, she said, I just can hardly wait.
I can hear that. I can hear that. I can just hardly wait.
Okay, when you talked about
have those moments. Quite a few.
Okay. Well, okay, some other things that I remember. We did a lot of things together, and she would always say to me all the time, my mother always told me there's good and bad and everything. I heard that many, many times. But one time, in fact, she did this with Claudette too. She took us to the beach for a treat. She paid for it. It was really nice. And I don't even know what beach it was. Do you, Claudette?
55 and over.
And I think it was a condo was on the second floor. And we had such a good time, you know. She just, and also, Marissa, she took us to a restaurant that you took her to, which she really liked. Do you remember where that would be? But anyway, it was at the beach. But we did that, and she came up and stayed with me. She come and stayed for a week.
Guppies.
I have a manila envelope that is just stuffed with cards and letters from her. And near the end, when she wouldn't take a bath, she wouldn't let them give her a bath that return.
No, she didn't like that.
Loved it. And she loved the fact that Richard came every day to play Scrabble. And I had given her a Scrabble board, and she must have thanked me 100 times. I thought she'd never stop thanking me.
She loves Scrabble.
Best Scrabble board. And so she really, is it 2 years, a little over 2 years she was there at that home, assisted living?
Oh, that was
Yeah, something like, but that was wonderful. And,
God, has it been
and
that
let's
long?
see, we did so much, but,
Guess so.
I was gonna tell you about Richard. I mean, Arthur, you were telling me something about Arthur. Well, remember, I'll tell you in a minute, but I miss her, and I talked to her, the preacher at First Baptist Church, Randy Huckabee, my Huckabee's nephew, and he told me, he said, we can talk to people in heaven. And I talked to everybody up there, plus someone, don't. And I talked to Betty about her, told her how much I miss her, tell her I'll be joining her soon, and a lot of us will, the older ones, Roy and Claudia.
I'm not early.
She's like, speak for yourself, Sandra.
But anyway, I really enjoyed it.
I got a funny story, just real quick. I said it at the wedding when I first met her. Obviously with having a good attitude, but her sense of humor is what got it for me. So I remember meeting her. She was at a really nice facility, and I remember going over there to pick her up one time with Marissa, and the doors opened up, and I was like, "Wow, this place is amazing!" Music playing, all these people. And we're kind of walking Granny back to the room, and I'm like, Granny, I said, you must really like this place. She's like, yeah. I said, you must really like everyone here. She goes, I make them all think I'm crazy, so they leave me alone. So I said, man, I'm going to get along good with her.
I remember before I forget, the cars, what are those little sales, you go in the car, those little yard sales. And so Arthur told me this. He said, all my friends wonder where I get all these nice shirts and clothes. He says, it's because Betty goes to these yard sales.
You two were the yard sale queens.
Spent plenty of days at that.
You sure did.
I'll tell you what, the last time we did, I took her to Hoffman. She was getting a little stiff. And the valet's standing there. We're trying to get her out. She gets both legs out. She's like, yes, I've got this. I've got this. I've got this.
I've got this.
I've got this. And that valet starts laughing and then it says, what do you got?
Hey, that looked very authentic, by the way. That looked very authentic, by the way.
It did.
I'm practicing. I got
Oh my goodness.
I'll tell you one thing about Betty. She never said one bad word about anybody.
Never. She'd say, what you gonna do? What you gonna do?
That's maybe how you get in the later years. I mean, what an attitude.
She's always like
Just
that.
Oh,
amazing.
never
Always.
So resilient.
When she stayed at my house after surgery one time, her phone wasn't working, so Wolf let her use his phone. And he sort of let her use it. And the day when she was well enough to go back home, she walked over to the round table. Wolf sitting there with his oxygen on, just sitting there, and she said, "Here, Wolf, I have a gift for you." And she handed back his phone.
When she looked out the window.
Oh, yeah, one of the PTs were coming to the house to give her physical therapy, and the nurse drove up, and she came in the house, and she says, "Your cow is out." And I said, "I don't have a cow." Daddy walks over to my dining room window, looks out and says, "Cow, cow, cow." Had to be there.
Just go call it.
I know some of the younger kids remember Halloween at their house.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They'd have a little bonfire out there, Arthur sitting on a little log, and Betty there cooking hot dogs. The kids start telling them spooky stories.
Arthur could tell some spooky stories.
Memories. I have so many. This is Susan Smith. She grew up across the street from Betty and I.
With all the
Oh,
boys.
okay.
The only girl in the neighborhood.
The only girl. Oh, God bless you. Your brothers.
I had 3,
I know them.
6
My
across the
boys,
street.
the
Yeah,
minors.
yeah, 3 across. We had tons of boys.
That's Brad.
In Tampa here?
She's like, oh, that's who that is. I said, that's Brad's sister.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh,
I never really
His
met.
daughter just came in from Alaska yesterday, so he's had to
Oh,
stay on with
wow.
her. My other youngest brother is sick, and my oldest brother passed away.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
They, otherwise Brad and Dean would have been with
yeah. I haven't seen them in so long. Goodness. Well, you're talking about Scrabble. I don't know anybody that's played a game with her, because that woman is the sweetest thing on earth, but you put her in a game, she is ruthless. She is not giving any inch on any,
we
no.
played at my house with her, and she won every time.
I refuse to play.
She was ruthless when it came to that now. She says, I'm here to play a game and win. I'm not here just to play.
You took that thing home, didn't you, Sandra? You didn't?
I have it.
Somebody's got there together.
She carried it everywhere.
She had
This-
it at the very end, pushing it on.
Always. She was carrying
Walk somebody to play.
it's a ginormous board, and she would carry it everywhere. It was on her walker. Permanently. Permanently on the walker.
She was always looking for a partner, huh?
Yeah, she was. She was looking for. Well, the lady that works there told me. She says she said Betty asked me if I could find her a Scrabble partner, and I got her one. Then she came up to me later on and she said, "They're not very good at Scrabble." That person not very good at Scrabble. I don't think they know how to play.
Oh, wow.
Anybody else? If not, it's okay. No pressure. No pressure?
Okay. We'll talk about a couple more angels.
We always call Granny our Earth Angel, me and Christina. We always call her our Earth Angel. But she was there. She was there for everybody. For everybody. So this is how we referenced her quite often, was our Earth Angel. But because everybody's here, and life is short, and it's going by real quick, so I wanted to take this time to give a big thanks to 3 Earth Angels that we still have here. Okay? So, Annette.
What?
I do? What'd I do? She's like, what'd I do? No, that's not a calling from above. Just thinking of what Sandra said. What?
Take two. Okay.
I'd like to take this time to thank the 3 Earth Angels that we still have here. Like we used to call Granny our Earth Angel. So I still consider 3 of you ladies to be 3 Earth Angels. Aunt Annette, Aunt Sandra, and Aunt Claudette. And yes, round of applause. I just want you to know something. I still have this Bible you gave me when I was a teenager, maybe 12, maybe 13, maybe 14, not really sure. To Marissa from Aunt Annette. And I just want you to know, like, just little things that you've done here and there. You always planted seeds. I want you to know that those seeds grew and they stayed with me. And I still have it to this day. These are for you. Okay, Aunt Sandra. My utmost for his highest. To Marissa from Aunt Sandra. On the occasion of no occasion. 2000.
On the occasion of no occasion.
No occasion.
No particular reason.
Just no particular reason, just want to still have this book. She also gave me this one. This is very important when you're younger. Passion and purity, staying pure as a young lady. This is funny. This is in 2004. Marissa, your grandfather asked me to talk with you about sex. And I did not. He said, sex would be fun, but your grandmother told me that they're teaching it in the schools now. So I didn't, and I didn't talk with you about it, because they're teaching it in the schools now. I now know what we teach. Oh my gosh, and now what they're really teaching. So maybe this book can serve as my talk. Take care. Thank you for planting all the seeds that you did. All the years.
Pretty sweet.
I did not give you a book.
And a physical.
I was getting to that.
She still has the shotgun. No.
So when you have 2 great aunts giving you lovely books, you don't need more books. You need an Aunt Claudette. Aunt Claudette was there for me and my sister from very, very young. My dad wasn't around, and she was there for me, my sister, and my mother, our whole childhood. Thanks to Aunt Claudette, we had prom dresses, we had clothes for school, we had food, we had play money maybe, probably. Just anything and everything we needed to help out my mom, she was there to do that. And so those are obviously also invaluable things. And boy, my mom probably couldn't have done it without me. And
Her and Granny. You're right, Daddy.
she didn't give me a gun, but what Aunt Claudette did give me, this is the seed she planted. It was kind of the same with my grandfather. They know how to get stuff done. They need something done, boom, 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 it's done. Like they're gonna come in, get it done, get out. And so, it's work ethic or just making things happen. you know, her and my grandfather were like, I don't know, you could say a mover and a shaker. They don't mess around. They just come in, they get the job done, and they leave. And so they were hardworking. She's a hardworking lady. I'm just so thankful to Aunt Claudette for so many things, and she's definitely an earth angel to this day.
My pleasure.
To this day. And I want you to know
Very sweet.
she's got lots.
Would
and
you give her a
lots
gun?
of- huh?
Would you give her a gun? Well, you didn't get flowers. What you got? a gun?
Ammo, it's hard to come by today. That's an ammo.
That's a book. That's a book.
Push it out, push it out.
Betty wrapped these things this day.
Betty, wrap this.
Just take the top off.
That's too funny.
And if you could just, I'm gonna read what's on it.
Oh, chimes.
Okay, go ahead and read it. Right here, right here.
Now, wait a minute. Wait a minute, what did I do?
She's gonna.
Somebody's got the.
Is that a gun or it's a black?
Oh my God, I'm so done.
With gratitude, those who have helped us along the way. Just as kindness is a gift to be shared, so is a heartfelt thank you. May the music of the chimes feel like an echo of your heart, reminding you of the difference you made in my life. Oh,
Aunt Claudette's got many treasures laid up in heaven. That's what it
oh,
is.
that.
Amen.
She's got many treasures laid
I
up in
hope
heaven.
they don't get tarnished until I get Thank you very much.
So my last note on here was, my last note was let's eat. So,
They already did that.